Hello and welcome to our series about what is Scrum. I'm borisgloger and I would like to talk a bit about the product backlog. That's a very interesting and important list in Scrum. And in the beginning of Scrum, or in developing of Scrum, the community and the inventors of Scrum believed there needs to be a kind of a guy, it's called product owner, and this product owner talks to a lot of people, maybe in the business departments, and comes up with a list of functionality. So this was called product owner. And sometimes, at least I did it this way, we just went into our functional specs and reformulated what we had already in our business designs or specifications and created entries in a list, and we called it product backlog. Later, this list or this specifications was sometimes replaced by the idea of having user stories, and the whole community created tons and tons of ideas and books about how to come up with better user stories and how to run user stories. The funny aspect is that all of us created a huge emphasis on the product owner and a huge bottleneck on the product owner because he was the one who needed to decide what is in the product backlog, and most of the time he also needed to specify exactly what is in these user stories. Okay? A huge emphasis on one person who should create enough work for a couple of developers, and typically that was 7 till 20 persons. Yeah? A job that is not possible to do. And when you start using Scrum, so in the beginning you want to implement it, and it was just to change from, let's say, traditional project management to Scrum-like project management or Scrum-like approach, then you create a huge amount of waste by creating already created documents a new list and transferring that in user stories, and it's a mess. Okay. So I have two suggestions for you. The first one is, let's assume you have already a working team. So you want to start using Scrum, and you have already people in your team, in your project team, whatever the area is you are responsible for. On the one who's in charge of making sure that the team has work. Sometimes it's a team lead, sometimes it's the project manager, whoever that is. He should talk to his people and ask the people what they have to do at the moment. So what is at the moment in progress? And every piece what they have at the moment in progress, you can then write up on the post-it notes, and you don't need to care if it's written down in user stories. You just put a piece of paper, a post-it note, and you write down what actually needs to be done. You put it on that post-it note, and then you create, based on the amount of post-it notes, a backlog by talking together, development team together with the product owner, what will be the right order on really working on these features or tasks or jobs that are to be done. That's number one. So the first step is go to your team, ask your team what is currently in progress, you put it in that backlog, you prioritize it, you might put something out of the backlog because you understand it's not necessary anymore, and then you start. That's step 1A, so to say. Step 1B is then, of course, later on to put into that backlog also new ideas, additional information, maybe new stories, whatever you have as a way of bringing in information from the outside. That is number one. Okay. Number two, it's the approach that we using at the moment or since a couple of years. We are not going to the product owner and telling the product owner he's the one who has to fill in all these user stories or items. The other approach is to work in a complete different way, and it's a little bit upside down on the very first view. The basic idea is that the development team, that they start to think based on the vision and the constraints created by the product owner. The development team, based on the vision and constraints of that project and product, that they go to the development, to the end user, observing in which way the end user might use these kind of ideas, or in which way this product, the vision within these constraints, might help to make the life of the end user easier. And then the development team will immediately find out what might work. And so they come up with ideas for the product backlog. So the product owner is not in charge anymore as the single bottleneck who has to create all these entries. These entries will be created by the development team by observing the end user. And the big benefit of this approach is that the development team don't need to have any kind of interpretation from the product owner what they have to deliver. They only need to know what might be the right order from the product owner based on vision and constraints. And the whole information is between what needs to be done for the end user is already there, because the development team has already talked or has created this information by themselves. So the more beneficial approach and faster approach of creating a product backlog and working on a product backlog, with the additional benefit of having a development team that knows exactly what needs to be done because they develop their stuff themselves and there's no intermediate talking to the product owner, is to send the development team to the end user, observing the end user, come up with their own backlog items, and then talk to the product owner what might be the right order and what might be able to sell to customers and so on. Okay, so product backlog either comes from the product owner together with the teams, number one, by talking to the developers what needs to be done, and we know already what needs to be done because we are working already on this, create that list and adding additional information from the product owner to the development, to the product backlog, or second way to say, send the development team to the end user, develop the own product backlog based on that information, and bring the product owner in the position of judging what will be worth in terms of what will make money. I hope that was helpful and beneficial for you. If you have any questions, drop me an email or give me a call. See you again. Bye.